Welcome back, everyone. So, Joe Biden has just signed the bill to reveal the origins of COVID-19. This is, of course, following assessment from both the FBI and the Department of Energy that the COVID-19 virus did, in fact, leak from a laboratory and probably in Wuhan, China. We're going to be seeing the evidence they have of this. We can assume it's not definitive evidence, but the evidence is there. The evidence has been there for she's going on, 3-4 years now, as we've been talking about. So we'll see what is released. I'll be following this, of course, as it comes out, but we're going to go over that today. Also, folks, as I mentioned yesterday, while they're going after Trump with this whole Stormy Daniels thing, who, by the way, admitted she lied about the entire thing. Remember, she has to pay Trump's legal fees, $300,000. This should be fruit of the poisonous tree, meaning someone makes false accusations, admits they make false accusations, but because you try to pay them off because you're a billionaire and you're trying to run for president and you don't want to have to deal with it, right? You pay a lawyer to deal with it. They come and sue you. They come and try to press charges for you for trying to, get rid of the thing they falsified against you. And here we are now. But something very interesting, it turns out that Congress has its own slush fund, and you and I, the taxpayers, are paying for it. We pay for a congressional slush fund to deal with things exactly like this. And some of the accusations on that, going back to 2017, included information suggesting this was not even about protecting the victims. It was, in fact, very difficult for the victims. This was about protecting members of Congress. That's wild stuff. I'll be talking about this today. And also, we'll see what happens with the charges against Trump. Trump said he's going to be arrested. He's not arrested yet. They're now saying next week, but guess what? They held their first, hearing on this stuff, on the charges. Alvin Bragg, the DA, is under a lot of heat. There's rumors he might drop the whole thing because it turns out he was withholding evidence. Withholding exculpatory evidence. But guess what? Georgia now wants to charge Trump. And so we're going to go into that. Next in line on the Trump legal charges and what they're going after him on. Hey, folks, interesting day. I'll be going over these stories and more, so stick around. Those of you on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, we will jump over exclusively to Epoch TV after about 25 minutes. So be sure to join us there. That said, folks, jump into the first story. Let me show you first what's happening with the origins of COVID-19. Washington Examiner said, Biden quietly signs COVID-19 origins bill into law. He had initially said he wasn't sure whether or not he would sign it, but let me show you what happened. It says President Joe Biden quietly signed into law a bill requiring the declassification of intelligence on the origins of COVID-19. They're saying he quietly signed it because he actually included it on the back end of another bill he signed, shooting down. He just vetoed some Republican attempt to get some laws passed, specifically around ESG. Biden just shut down some of the ESG initiatives or anti-ESG initiatives in the Republicans. But included within that is this, and Biden said, quote, I share the Congress's goal of releasing as much information as possible about the origins of COVID-19 disease, 2019, or COVID-19, Biden said. And in 2021, he said, I directed the intelligence community to use every tool at its disposal to investigate the origin of COVID-19. And that work is ongoing. We need to get to the bottom of COVID-19's origins to help ensure we can better prevent future pandemics. So we'll see what happens with this. The only nuance here is that people have pointed out is that Biden said his exact words, that he shares Congress's goal of, quote, releasing as much information as possible. The as much as possible part, rather than all of the information, has some people wondering whether this means he's actually going to have the FBI and the Department of Energy actually release the information that they have used to make their now public assessments that COVID-19 came from a laboratory in China, or whether they might deem that not possible because of politics or whatever else. It's up in the air. We'll have to see. There's now this news story coming out that it comes from like the raccoon dog or something like that. Folks, they tried saying COVID-19 came from the pangolin, which is like a lizard-looking creature. They tried saying it came from bat soup. They tried saying it came from the Huanan seafood market. They tried everything. Nothing has held water. Nothing has so far looked like it's true. The unfortunate reality is that some of the documents detailing Fauci's contracts with these companies, working as intermediaries, working with the Chinese laboratories, is they were specifically, EcoHealth Alliance and others, they were specifically looking into SARS-CoV, not SARS-CoV-2, but SARS-CoV, remember COVID-19 is SARS-CoV-2, and manipulating that and adding functions to it, what could be considered illegal virus research or gain-of-function research, to add functions to SARS-CoV, thereby creating what you could call SARS-CoV-2. And here we are now facing a virus designated as SARS-CoV-2. None of the attempts they've had trying to prove natural origin have held water so far. I'm not writing it off entirely. Some of you have mentioned to me that it's still possible, and Fauci's actually saying this now too, it is possible it leaked from a laboratory but was still of natural origin. Personally, I think the horseshoe bat virus it could be a possible origin of this, and even if that's the case, the horseshoe bat, of course, remember Dr. Shi Zhengli, the Batwoman of China, the scientist at the Wuhan Institute of Virology who is researching all these same viruses. Well, there was information suggesting they had found a virus very, very similar to SARS-CoV-2 in one of the bat caves of China, that being the horseshoe bat. And it is possible that it has natural origin. Again, we'll have to see. Lab leak does not necessarily mean lab altered, but we'll see. I'm not writing anything off. But I think my assessment is still public, and it's been public since I think 2019 or 2020 now, which is in the documentary investigating the origins of the Wuhan coronavirus, where I detail all of this evidence just a few months, I think, after the whole thing came out. That said, we'll see. This is actually going to have huge implications, and this is where the as much information as possible caveat could actually be important. Because the Chinese Communist Party in Russia right now just signed some major agreements. They are publicly basically stating they believe the United States, as the leader of the international world order, has come to an end. They're now pushing for what they call the multipolar world order. Remember, we've been talking about this for probably a couple years now. The shift is now happening. Putin just had a meeting with most of the leaders of Africa. Xi Jinping and Putin just had a big agreement on trade and on defense. The alternate world system opposing the United States, with using the narrative that the United States as they knew it is now dead. This is the new world order, folks. And given this situation, will Biden make public information that could really dismantle the credibility of the Chinese Communist Party? It could be a very useful diplomatic weapon at this point. It could be something he needs to do because the CCP is trying to claim that the virus was brought to China by the U.S. military. So we'll see. It's all up in the air.